Row summaries are a new feature in AdapTable 18, the latest version of our AgGrid extension, and are actually a good example of how AdapTable leverages the first-rate functionality in AgGrid, which is the best JavaScript data grid in the world, and it makes that functionality available in a very flexible, powerful, easy-to-use way, both for design time developers and runtime users. So let's have a quick look at what they are. So as the name implies, row summaries are summary rows that provide aggregated information about the grid. They're not the same as row groups. They're not the same as when you group a particular column and then you see an aggregated row. Therefore, when you have a flatter table, but as you can see, AdapTable provides a huge number of aggregations. Most people will probably just use sum, maybe min max, but we have more powerful ones. We have mode, which is quite useful to see the most frequent value, and then we've got things like weighted average and standard deviation for more advanced users. And in this example here, we can see two row summaries, one at the top where we're showing sum for GitHub stars and GitHub watchers, and one at the bottom where we're showing a count for language and an average for issue change. And because essentially behind the scenes they're just pinned rows which are kind of easy to use with aggregation showing, you can see then if I, for instance, scroll the grid up and down, the two pinned rows stay in place. So these two rows here in this example were created by developers at design time, but it is possible for runtime users also to create it. So let's go into this layout here, and let's do it now because row summaries live in a layout. So let's edit this layout, and we can see here we've got row summaries. So let's add a new one. In fact, let's base it on what we saw in the previous one. So the position will be at the top. We will do GitHub stars, and let's make that sum. You can see they all appear here. And let's do GitHub watchers, and again, let's make that one sum. So there's our first row summary at the top with GitHub stars and GitHub watchers. Now let's add a second one. This one we will put at the bottom, and we will do language, but in fact instead of doing count, you can see in fact that AdapTable knows that because it's a string data type, it only provides the values which make sense for this column. And you can see we have mode, distinct, only, and count. We will do mode, and as I say, that shows the most frequent value in the column. And then let's also do issue change, and I think in the previous example that was average, so let's do the same. So there we are, we've created our two summary rows, and we see them here. We see the GitHub stars and GitHub watchers are showing the sum. We can see at the bottom we've got another row summary which says JavaScript because that's the most common value in this column, and then we have the average here. And of course it's important to bear in mind that this obviously updates as your data updates. So for instance, if I change language to HTML, then obviously I see HTML here, I see a different average here, and obviously I see different sums here as well. So there we are, that's row summaries, leveraging AgGrid's pinned rows to provide a nice way for both developers and runtime users to create very intuitive but hopefully powerful aggregations of their table data. As always, if you'd like to know more about AdapTable, please get in touch. We'll be delighted to provide you either with a personalized one-to-one demo or indeed a free no obligation trial license so you can try out AdapTable for yourself. Thank you for watching.